You've got a gun, got a big gun, got a gun. It's not a real one, and all you ever think about is running away. All you ever think about is trying to stay away. Stay away from me.
Oh, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another rendition of the Not Safe for Work MMA show on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. I am your quarantined host, and my quarantined co-host is Mr. Frederick Kirby. Hello, Fred.
Hey now, look at us being good citizens, fucking social distancing and all.
Fred, I will say, buddy, I miss you.
Now, yeah, I know.
I do, man. Don't say I know. Say I miss you too. Don't say I know. That's
no. Listen, I was going to get around to it. Just calm down, Jesus fucking Christ. I was going to say I know. I miss you as well. We're going to get there. Like, don't fret. I see people getting way too negative about this COVID-19 thing. I'm telling you, man, this thing is really starting to get to people. I feel like a lot of people feel like we're never going to get back to our normal way of life, and it's like, listen, everybody, relax, calm down. We're going to get there. It's going to take a fucking while. Like, no sense in pussy. I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it like the rest of the fucking world leaders are. But we'll get this thing figured out. By God, if we got through the goddamn plague in 1818 and the Spanish flu in 1918, we'll sure as the fuck get past the COVID virus in 2020, Jack. We're going to be fine.
Fred, I will say, I am, and I mean this, and I truly mean this. This is coming from the bottom of my heart, Fred. I'm losing my goddamn mind. I've basically entered into another galaxy. I have not drank today. I have not drank in a couple days. I post a lot about bourbon. Let me give a little spoiler alert for everybody. I post a lot about bourbon. I hardly ever drink. I've literally got people messaging me like, hey, man, like, I hope you're not drinking too much. I'm like, no, dude, I barely drink. I drink like 2 days a week. But I get it. I post about it a lot. I have a collection, so it's fun to post about. But I do not drink very much, so everybody calm down. With that said, I want to drink a lot at this point. That's kind of where I'm at. But I'm losing my mind, slowly losing my grip on reality. So I empathize with those people that you are talking about, Fred. I'm done. I'm done with it. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I understand. Like, all joking aside, some people do suffer with like fucking mental illness, anxiety, and depression and shit. Well, this can really kick that shit into overdrive.
Here's what it is. There's a lot going on with it, but so when we hear a lot about introverts, right? There's a lot of sympathy out there for introverts, because if you're introverted, it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean you don't have to go to work. It doesn't mean you don't have friends, but people who are introverted, like, that's a big struggle. And even having friends, like, you need to see your friends because that's how you maintain a friendship. But like, you don't want to sometimes, because it's like, I just want to be left alone. So there's a lot of sympathy out there for introverts, and rightfully so, not a lot of sympathy for extroverts, because what's there to have sympathy for? Well, when it comes to this quarantine, all joking aside, as someone who is massively extroverted, I truly get, so an introvert is going to get their kind of power, like their day-to-day power, how they make it through the day, right? Like whatever drives you. They're going to get that power from a little bit of isolation. They're going to go to work, they're going to come home from work, they're going to sink into the couch, and they're going to read a book. Or they're going to go take a nap or something along those lines to kind of recharge. For me, I don't need that shit. My recharging is having people right next to me. That's my recharging. So if I'm having a rough day, I want 10 people to come to my house and watch a UFC fight. I want 5 people to come over and do a March Madness of bourbon taste testing. I want to get 14 people out to play disc golf and do a big, like, tourney thing. Like, that's, for me, that's my version of recharging. So there's not a lot of sympathy for extroverts, and I understand why. But this quarantine is fucking with me, dude. I'm super extroverted. I feel like I haven't been recharged in a month and a half here,
Let me tell you a little something about introverts, too. And just calm your fucking tits. I can hear Keith out there. Who the fuck wants to hear about introverts and extroverts? Talk some MMA. We're going to get the DW and the whole most of them soon enough. But let me tell you a little story about introverts. When I was a little fucking hooligan when I was 14 or 15, there were some things that were done and I ended up on house arrest. Let me tell you something. You think you're an introvert until you're forced to be one. Like, I got put on house arrest and I was like, well, fuck, I've got my gaming console at home. We got all the food. I can fucking chill. Like, it's all great. You don't realize how much you enjoy being able to leave until you can't leave. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm an introvert because they think it's the fucking cool, ironic thing to kind of say or do and be by yourself until you're forced to be there. Not a lot of people that say they're introverts are really introverted. You know, they're just like most of us. We like our privacy. You know what I mean? There's a difference between liking your privacy and liking to chill. Than being like a real introvert where you thrive being alone for long periods of time. Most of us aren't actually introverted. We just like our fucking privacy. That's normal.
100%. So, like, Justine, my wife, is very introverted, clinically introverted. And it's not like the quarantine isn't affecting her. You know, she'd like to go out and do stuff too. But it's definitely not affecting her in the same way. You know,
right.
if in fact, if the kids were somewhere else, I think she'd be in heaven right now. Like,
right.
But the problem is, like, the kids are getting wilder and wilder day by day because they ain't doing shit either. You know, like, our backyard is only so interesting, you know, and they're young, so they can't travel around the neighborhood.
Listen, this is the Not Safe for Work show, the Not Safe for Work MMA show. So we gotta throw in some disgustingness here because we're such a clean channel everywhere else. So I gotta ask you, you just had a kid. Are either one of you, you know, clipped, or are you guys gonna spit another one out 9 months from now? Are you guys? Can we please name it? Can we name it the Ronies? Can we please name him or her just Roni?
I will listen. We're not. No, neither one of us are snipped.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
However, no, we're not. First of all, the wife is on birth control. Second of all, even if we do have another kid, listen, I'm a man, so I'll just go to Mexico. Like, the kid don't, you know, it'll be born without me. Like, there's no, like, I don't have to be around in order for the kid to physically be born. So, you know, I'm not having another kid. I'll tell you that. I take from that what you will. I got 3. I'm good to go on that. You throw a 4th in, it's kind of like when like the wife wants a dog, so like that's your dog. That's your kid. I'm pretending like that kid doesn't exist moving forward. So just FYI, if the 4th one comes up, we're putting Fred's name on the birth certificate. Like,
wow, Jesus Christ.
We're done.
You're fucking taking the whole Chinese approach. Huh?
Listen,
this is the 3 kids. After this, you're getting a fucking forced sterilization.
Listen, I've already contemplated trying to see what I could get for one of them on Craigslist. Because somebody will buy them. If I throw one of the kids up, somebody will buy one of them. Probably the boy, because he's real dumb, and the girls are great, so I'm cool with them. The boy's real dumb, so maybe somebody will buy him, and they can name him something junior. You know, they can really embrace it. I'm just kidding. I love my kids to death. We will not have a 4th child, but if we did, I would be a very good father to that 4th child.
Yeah, you'd have to be.
JK, I'm for real going to go to Mexico, but that's all right. We'll talk about that offline. All right, so there's a couple things to get to. I want to start with something funny. This is on Twitter. Ariel's doing his show from home, of course, and he just had Daniel Cormier on, and there was a video that was posted of Ariel shadowboxing. It was a joke. He was doing some jokey shadowboxing, and everybody kept bringing up the fact that he could beat Ben Askren in a boxing match. So he starts talking to Daniel Cormier, and he asks him that question, and this is his response.
Ooh, yeah.
I just now realized we're on mute, so let's try that again.
Okay.
We are just having dead air there for like 30
I
seconds.
was about to start fucking singing, and
Now let's try it again.
Here we go. Ooh, yeah, baby. Look at that.
Jay, right hand, hook it, boom, boom. I've seen guys throwing whole combinations on that thing, you know, and your hands back to your face. You know,
I had a lot of people Do you think I could beat Ben Askren?
In striking. You could outstrike Ben Askren. I'm sorry. Cut that.
I mean, people have suggested it. People have suggested it.
Hey, listen.
The double jab. The double jab.
I love Ben. I love Ben. He's my boy. But I mean, boy, I don't know. Hey, there was a point. There was a point. I'm starting to sweat again. There was a point that I was scared. I was like, Ben's about to be a world champion. He was undefeated. He beat Robbie Lawler. And I was like, this dude's going to be a world champion. He don't even know how to fight. Like, Ben never took the time to learn to fight. Ben never took the time to learn to fight. Dude's about to be a world champ. And I love Ben. He's my boy. But, boy, I tell you, man, Ben was about to become a world champ when I learned how to fight. Man. When he was out there with Damian Maia, like, I've seen Damian Maia fight for 15 years. I've never seen him outstrike somebody like that. Dude just outstriking Ben Askren, man.
Why didn't you help him out?
Nah, man, you don't listen. Ben don't listen to nobody. But Ben knows everything. He's one of those guys. Ben knows everything.
Well, he made it pretty far.
He made it far.
So there's a good conversation, good clean fun. You know, I think Cormier's just jabbing at Askren a little bit. I would imagine that Askren would beat not most, but a non-fighter in boxing. Obviously, I don't know. Yeah, all right, Fred, do you really think that Ariel could beat Ben Askren in a boxing fight?
Let me tell you something, Jack. I will beat the fuck out of Ariel Helwani in a boxing match, and I ain't laced up the fucking gloves in a month of Sundays. Are we all out of our mind? Because he threw a couple of clean jabs, man. Ben Askren will beat the fuck out of Ariel Helwani. What the fuck are we talking about?
No, this is boxing specifically. I
don't give a fuck if they were fucking thumb wrestling. Ben Askren beats the dog piss out of Ariel Helwani in any sort of physical combat sport, Jack.
Agreed.
Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck? Ariel Helwani, like, what the fuck? And then, let me tell you something. I'm surprised that DC just held him out the fucking dry like that.
I love it, though. It's funny because it's he's being funny. He's being funny. Yeah. I don't think he's being real serious. But
I would get fucking my ass chewed out for fighter bashing if I said that about poor old Ben. He's about to win the championship and he can't fight. It's not getting crazy, DC. Your fucking striking just kind of got up to snuff and you're a heavyweight. And it's not like you're out there looking like Floyd Mayweather, my dude. You throw a mean overhand right, but short of that, you're out there just boxing dudes up.
Do you think Ben Askren's completely done, right?
I think so. I mean, fucking certainly after this whole debacle, we pretty much everybody lost 2020, it seems, or at least for a good portion of it.
There will be a question today. So I'm hosting the new iteration of Between the Links. It was Around the Cage. That was Between the Links. Now it's called Last One Standing. I'm the host. We have a very special guest tonight. But the question I'm going to ask today, I'm interested in your thoughts. Okay, the question I'm going to ask today is who benefits the most from the UFC hiatus. So we basically had no fight cards in March. We're not going to have any in April. Very real possibility we won't have any in May. We'll see what happens. We could have something mid-May. I don't know. But very real possibility we don't have anything in May. So who benefits the most from nobody being able to fight? And then who do you think benefits the least? So I don't have an answer for least. My answer for most is TJ Dillashaw. I think he benefits the most. Because he's suspended. We're getting towards that time. If this lingers on even more, we start going into August and beyond, it really helps a guy like that who's suspended, who should be able to go right back in the division at the top, and there hasn't been a lot of movement. I don't really have an answer for who it hurts the most, but I think it helps TJ the most. Do you have anybody else?
Oh, okay. So like what particular individual fighter?
Yeah. Do you think it's the biggest benefit from the UFC kind of being shut down, and who does it hurt the most?
I mean, I think I've said this before and shit, but just off the top of my head without thinking much, who does it benefit the most? Fucking John Jones, baby. That motherfucker got caught with the homeless people popping off pistols, and it's pretty much yesterday's news. And by the time we all get back to action, we're going to be fucking pleased as punch to watch John fight again. You'll have the fucking shitbirds who go, it'll be you over there, Kyle, fucking tweeting about his fucking drunk driving and shit. But, like, other than that, he fucked up at the perfect time, man. He can't fight anyways. He ain't getting suspended from nothing. It is what it is. Shit, USADA probably can't even test right now, can they?
No, I
They
don't think
can't
so.
be out there fooling with people right now either. Shit, like it's fucking the wild, wild west right now. John Jones is thriving. Now, who does it hurt the most? I think I did say this last week on the podcast. For me, depending on how long this goes, could be DC. DC was waiting on that one big fight. This shit fucks around and goes till July, August, September. Hypothetically, we may have never see DC fight again. He might just say fuck it, and like he might get fucking fat during this little layoff, and there's nothing to fucking. He's doing the podcast from home with Ariel. He could potentially this could have ruined him out of his last fight.
Yeah.
So for now, that's it. DC and John.
All right, those are good answers for me. I got Dillashaw for benefiting, and I guess who it hurts the most would be a DC or someone in a DC situation where you're towards the end here. You're trying to kind of ride off into the sunset. This is delaying it. If you're already in that mindset of riding off into the sunset anyway, you're probably not training as hard as you need to on your own because you don't have that internal motivation right now. So yeah, those guys, it's gonna for every month they take off, it might cause 3 months of damage.
And here's something to think about as well. You know who else might be really getting fucked in this whole process that we're not really taking into consideration is Bellator and the PFL. Like the UFC has basically got Hollywood money now. They can work through this. Bellator and everybody else is kind of fucking taking this shit up the tailpipe. You know what I mean? This is going to be no fucking bueno for business. Everybody's talking about the UFC and their deals. Bellator's got fights and deals and contracts that they need to be getting done too, except they've got nowhere near the bank account that the UFC has. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't got as much fucking backing as the UFC's got. Viacom my ass, Jack. The Viacom just soon fucking see Bellator fucking go by the wayside than the man on the moon than let it, jeopardize any of their big shit. The UFC is a big fish. They're going to stay, but everything else is going to probably suffer some consequences.
Well, I'm also wondering promotions that are very globally focused, because even once we get back to normal, it won't be normal still. I mean, we're going to be dealing with this for a while. Maybe we get back to our day-to-day life, so to speak. But until there's a vaccine, we're not going to be back to normal. I mean, there's going to be more to it than that. Yeah. And I would say international travel will be most affected by it. I don't think we're not doing a card in China anytime soon. That ain't happening. We're not going to Italy anytime soon. That ain't happening. So these globally focused cards, or just even one, being out that way where this is a bigger problem. Granted, they're not in China specifically, are they? Where's one?
I think they are.
Are they China specifically?
Singapore, I think.
Okay. I wasn't exactly sure where they were.
They work all around Asia, but
China's massive, so obviously there's parts of China that are fine. But even just the stigma of people who fight for one who live in the States, I don't think they're going to be do you think Demetrius Johnson is flying over to somewhere in China or Asia to take a fight right now or anytime soon? It's not worth the risk. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out for the rest of the year. What effect does this have on the global kind of mindset of fighting? Obviously the UFC is going everywhere. You have promotions in a lot of countries, Combate. So I'm interested in how it affects those people as well. It affects everybody, but the UFC can stay homegrown.
Right.
As long as they didn't piss too many people off trying to do all these fight islands and trying to kind of hammer fist their way into making a card happen, on an Indian reservation.
Right.
Assuming they didn't piss a bunch of people off, which I don't think they did. I think ultimately money will talk. And if the UFC is going, hey, how your state just lost a shit ton of money? We'll bring you a fight card. I think their morals are going to start slipping away a little bit. If California's on that high horse, wait till things get opened back up and you really see the brunt of how much California is struggling, a state that already massively struggles because of the size and then their indebtedness because of that size. They're going to need places like the UFC to bring some energy there and to bring some money in. They're going to need it. They don't have a choice. So, because obviously California is on their bit of a high horse. The governor is the one who got this card canceled, essentially. He contacted Disney, and Disney basically said, listen, we can't afford this kind of PR. We don't want to mess with this. This ain't worth it,
And that's essentially why I think that the UFC, or AKA Dana White, will be fine. Because when that word came down, DW was like, you got it. It's over. It's a wrap, boys. We tried. But word came up. One thing you got to give Dana White, man, when the right people say it's a no-go, he is willing to be like, all right, that's it. We tried. He ain't going to keep doing it. Like, he immediately, once that fucking higher up at Disney was like, yo, chill. Dana White scheduled a little interview with Brett Okamoto real quick. Tell him, like, that's it, boys. We tried. He let y'all know, like, don't get it twisted. I could do this. But, the word came from upon high, as the saying goes. And it's a no-go. And I'm going to listen to that. Like, they've been good to us, and I ain't going against it.
Well, and a lot of a conversation that has ignited throughout all of this is, could we see, is Dana at risk of getting canned? Is he at risk of Disney going, you know what? He's too much of a firecracker. He's pissing too many people off. We don't want to mess with that. We're going to put somebody in there that's a little bit more family friendly, so to speak, and move forward with that. And some names that have popped up are Chael Sonnen and DC, of course. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that, whether you think that is truly legitimate. And if it is truly legitimate, give me an argument of who you would go with.
Okay, A, is it truly legitimate? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think the fact that when he was told by the right people to stand down, he stood down is the most important fact of all this.
True.
Like, when his boss said, yo, chill, he chilled immediately. If he had tried to push this thing past what they said and he tried to get cute and go without them, we'd be having a completely different conversation. And I honestly, at this point, look, the seriousness of the virus is a little dangerous for what he was doing. But on one hand, from a business point of view, you have got to respect Dana White's hustle and what he's doing and the passion that he fucking has for this sport. I mean, the rest of the world was shutting down and DW was having none of it. He was having fucking none of it. He was, everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry everywhere was saying, oh, it ain't happening. The fight's not happening. And fucking DW was having none of it. He made sure that the shit fucking was going to go down. And he was going to fucking flat get it done. He had to flat have the governor come tell Walt Disney himself to tell Dana White to fucking chill out with it before he was like, all right, fine. But that sort of passion and determination and drive, like, whether you like Dana White or not, man, at this point, you got to understand that dude's one in a billion. Nobody will run the sport the way you think anybody else would do that? I mean, all due respect to Scott Coker, yeah, he's paying, but and I understand that he doesn't have the resources that Dana White have, bro. And it's laughable, but I have no doubt that Dana White was actually trying to secure an island, whatever that means. Buy it, rent it, lease it. I have no doubt.
I think he still is. I don't think that's bullshit.
No, that's what I'm saying.
True, yeah.
But to even have that idea and to be like, yo, we're going to really go for this. And like all the memes and all the jokes aside, the fact that he heard that and was like, all right, yeah, we can maybe do that and swing it. And we'll bring in the film crew and the blah, blah, blah. He's a fucking wild man. I mean, he's a maniac. And again, the brilliant thing about Dana is he doesn't push it too far. Again, when the higher ups at Disney said chill out, he was like, all right, I got you. I'll give y'all a few weeks. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that fucking fight island is still, he's like, all right, listen, we're not planning nothing, but keep building this fucking building so that if they do this and it does keep going, at some point, they're going to loosen things up a little bit. And when they do, we're going to snipe like a fucking viper. We're going to have this island up and running. We're going to have fucking testing facilities. I mean, the COVID testing things are already getting better. I've seen Canada's got one that's supposed to have like an hour turnaround now. As soon as they prove those things to work, DW is going to order fucking 2 million of them, buy that fucking island, put a goddamn hospital on there. And if this fucking shit keeps up, Dana White will be, at some point, we going to get some fights one way or the other. And you gotta respect Dana White's hustle with that shit, man.
Awesome. Make sure you guys tune in after you're listening to this. The episode will be up relatively shortly, within 24 hours at least, but probably more like 12. Because we're going to cover a lot of this stuff on the show in a much more debate-oriented way. You're going to get a bunch of different opinions, but we're going to cover quite a bit of this. So definitely tune into that show and the rest of the network. Please subscribe to the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. We are still churning out tons and tons and tons of content, even during this time. So if you think we're doing it good now, wait until we have actual shit happening where we have stuff to talk about. So I'm excited for the network. I'm excited for where it's going. We brought in some new guys, and they're all fabulous. So make sure you subscribe to the network, please. All right, let's shift into what else we got to talk about.
Listen, can we just take can I get my shit? Can I talk my shit for a minute?
Oh, you know what, Fred? Okay. All right. Let me put myself on mute. I think you deserve a moment. Don't squander this moment, Fred. I'm giving it to you free and clear.
Okay. Listen.
The clock is yours. Listen.
It ain't going to take long. You ain't going to have to stay muted long. It ain't going to take me long to just say, everybody suck my dick. I told y'all this fucking event was not happening. There was no way it was going to happen. Even when DW came out and fucking told y'all it was going to happen, again, the whole fucking world shut down. I'm not excited that it wasn't going to happen, but I fucking knew, and Daddy Fred told y'all, this shit was not going to happen. I don't know how many of y'all out there called it like I did. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of y'all like I said it too. But I know after DW came out with that last little statement, whole lot of y'all bought it. And I ain't going to bullshit y'all. I ain't lying. I kind of, when ESPN put it up on their shit, I'm like, God damn. A small part of me thought, old DW might have fucking pulled a cute cocksucker Baldwin Island on me, son of a bitch. But I wasn't going to come out public with it because I still thought there's no way. Day later, Walt Disney himself says, fuck that, put a kibosh on it. It's not happening. Sorry, DW. Sorry, MMA Twitter, you fucking mouthy twats. And you know what I don't love about this? The idea that if you called it, you're like some sort of hater and you wanted it to not happen. Let me fucking state for the record and make it very clear. I'm not happy that it didn't happen. I'm a fucking degenerate cocksucker. And if they could have made this thing happen, boy, I would have been front and center watching it. They had a fantastic card lined up. I would have been watching it the whole time. I would have been fucking virtue signaling about the COVID crisis, but fucking bet your sweet ass I would have tuned in and watched it and been happy as a lark. Part of me was low-key devastated when they said it was off because I'm like, God damn it. It's such a strange dichotomy too, right? Like, on one hand, I felt great because I'm like, aha, I told you so, you cocksuckers. I knew it. But then I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a part of me that was like, God damn it. I already had some bets on the fights and shit. I had a couple parlays set up. I was actually going to order some chicken wings. I ain't ate no food from no place in like fucking 2 months. I was going to risk it all for the fights. I figured, fuck it. If they make the fights happen, I'll risk catching the Ronies from the goddamn fucking frickers up the way. Fuck it.
No, I think here's the issue. I was all for it happening. Again, the WWE has continued to pump out. I mean, it's not like there's not precedent. Again, you can have shows without fans. You can limit the amount of cornerman. It's just 1v1. You know, I think ultimately if this happened, I wasn't too terribly worried. Well, then it comes out, I don't know if you saw this today, and I'm so sorry because I don't remember his name, and we're recording this in real time, so I'm not going to pause to go look it up, and I'm sorry. But there was a pretty renowned MMA photographer who passed away this morning. I think he was with The Post, among other things. I was looking at, there was an article about him, and I was looking at the images, and some of the big images that we've seen, he took. So, a pretty big name in the sports and specifically MMA community for photography. Passed away, age 50, caught the coronavirus a couple weeks ago, and it just kept progressively getting worse and worse and worse until his lungs just gave out and passed away. So, when you have something like that happen, and it's so close, and then you have, Rose Namajunas, who lost two people close to her, from COVID, pretty close together. I don't exactly know who, but it does put into perspective, like, why are we trying to do this right now? I know I want it. We all want it, so to speak. And I was getting really, really fucking annoyed with all the virtue signaling and all the, like, I muted so many people. I was just like, all these people that are just constantly negative, I'm just going to start muting. I want nothing to do with them. It's so annoying, just cheering on the fact this got canceled, and that sucked. But but then this happens, and it does put it back into perspective of like, dude, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, why fuck with it? Why mess with it? Why risk it? Like, what is the point? It's not worth it. Just wait until we're in a better situation. The problem is there is no, when someone says, wait, Fred, you have kids. When you tell your kid, just hold on a minute, they get super fucking annoyed because there's no end time to that. Wait a minute could mean I'm getting it for you right this second, or I'm going to give it to you before bed. Like that's what wait a minute means to your kids.
Right.
So when you tell them that, they start lashing out and they start crying and they start whatever, because it's like, you know what I mean? Because they don't even know what that means. Right. And that's what we're experiencing on a corporate level, on a human level. We're experiencing this. We don't know where this is going. We don't know when it's going to end. There's no expiration date. Even when we start trying to figure out an expiration date, could be mid-May, but mid-May could mean that's when fucking Frickers opens back up. That doesn't mean that movie theaters are opening back up. That doesn't mean that stadiums full of people are going to open back up. We don't know when that is. So I can understand the ideology of just going, let's just push it. Let's push it. We need to push it. Let's make it happen. I get it. I get it completely. But that's not where we're at. And there's no point in pushing this too quickly. Certainly not now. If a fight card happened next week, I'm cool with it. I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to stand on my moral high ground. But if they have the fight and somebody catches it, or a couple people catch it and somebody dies, I'm also not going to rub it in because I'm one of the degenerates who wanted to watch it. So, and other people obviously will, and understandably. But there's also a piece of this where it's up to the people what they want to do. If Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje are willing to go out there and do it and want to do it, and then one of them catches it, I'm also not going to feel sorry for either one of them. Like, you didn't have to do this. But do you think that's how they feel? Do you think if you're offered to fight on one of these cards, say Fight Island happens, if you're offered a fight on Fight Island, do you feel like the fighters are in a position where they can comfortably say no?
I mean, it depends on what fighter, right? John Jones can comfortably say no. He's good. Conor can say no. Habib can say no. It depends on how much money you got, how much, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these guys and girls could say no, and then a lot of them would need the paycheck. It would just depend on what particular fighter you're talking about.
So at what point does this become like a Louis C.K. situation? Where you're using your power and influence to make someone say yes to something they don't want to say yes to. You're putting them in a bad position where you're metaphorically pulling your dick out, and the person on the other side isn't really in a comfortable enough position to say no, and now you're putting these people at risk.
Listen, it should be said, like I was going to say, look, I know this is very unfashionable to do, but you got to give a shout out to the man, quote unquote, the man. Look, man, everybody wants to blame the UFC and the machine and Dana White and what is it, William Morrison? Is that the name of the fucking new fucking group or whatever?
Yeah, WME.
WME, yeah. You know, look, man, they did the right thing. This was one for the good guys. Like, Dana White tried his best to make it happen. He proved what a crazy promoter he is. These guys, Tony Ferguson don't need that money. I know he don't need the money. So obviously he did want to compete. He wanted to get that paycheck and wanted to go there and do that. So some of these fighters are definitely willing. They believe in the UFC's testing process and shit. So you got to give it to them. Like, Walt Disney stepped in. They could have just let this shit happen. But, I mean, you can argue that they were trying to save face or whatever. But for whatever reason, they stepped in and said, no, we're going to wait. So if they step in and they wait for another fucking, 4 to 6 weeks and shit starts opening worldwide slowly but surely again, and they roll out the fucking Fight Island, it is what it is. At some point, we do have to get back to business. They've been told they got to chill for a moment, but who knows where we'll be 2 weeks from now? Who's got a clue where we'll be 6 weeks from now? If we get to fucking June 1st, maybe it is go time again. At least enough to where we can start having events with no public, no people in the stadium at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in where this is going. People have been relatively respectful. You haven't seen like massive looting or giant spikes in crime and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it's all of it's gone down, right? Well, looting isn't happen in general, but you know what I mean. Like, crime as a whole has gone down, right? Because less people are out there. It's just the nature of the beast. The fear is that the longer this goes, maybe that's when Disney does go, you know what? Fuck y'all. We're losing way too much money. We're getting back to work, and a bunch of other giant corporations join in. Then it's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop it? Or just, again, the general John Q public going, yeah, we're done now, collectively. Listen, the constitutionalists, they're done already. They're playing ball for right now. This shit goes on too much longer. You're about to have a civil war. I mean, these constitutionalists are not thrilled about their rights being stomped on, and it's like they're willing to deal with it so far, but I don't know how much longer they're going to be dealing with that shit. So this is a weird situation for all, and that's the problem. There is no timetable here. We don't know when X, Y, and Z will then be able to return back to normal. So right. Because of that, someone like Dana White, someone with that mindset, they're going to push the limits as often and as soon as possible. They're going to push.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Dana White he's an obsessed sort of character. I think you think you're going crazy being at home. Dana can't do that. I literally don't think he's programmed that way. Like, he has got to have that massive carrot dangling of getting the fights back up and going. Like, he's going to go fuck off somewhere for a couple of weeks because he's been told to. But like you said, bet your sweet ass that Fight Island's being built, and he's just waiting. What do they say we're doing now? Flattening the curve. ODW is waking up every morning and checking how fucking flat that cocksucking curve is. Just as soon as she's flat enough for us to sneak out of the rocks, he's gonna be like, ha ha. Dana White's like them old school fucking the circus promoters, fucking whipping up the big tent with the cocksuckers fighting. He'll be the first one out there promoting, baby.
And it's a pleasure to be a fan of that kind of sport. It is. Yeah, it is. Sure. I love it. I'm all for it. I'm down. I hope that no one gets hurt in the process. Obviously, it's also kind of the nature of the beast. So, we'll see where it goes. There's really no new news on the John Jones front. We've pretty much covered everything. He's in a spat with Israel Adesanya, but whatever. I think Adesanya got the better of some of it. John Jones got the better of some of it. It just
it's enough with them.
Yeah, and it's there's just nothing. That's the problem with some of this stuff too. It's like, that spat's cool, but we may not have fights for 6 months. So it's like I don't like it all feels kind of meaningless. Even stuff like, Jose Aldo is out of the UFC 250 card if that card were to happen anytime soon.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and it's like I want to get excited about that. We have a question tonight about it, but it's like, I'm assuming that isn't happening anyway. So it's like,
right.
Does it even matter? And I don't know. The whole thing's just bonkers, and I'm ready for it to be over. What else do we need to get to, Fred?
There's not a lot, man. The one thing that I guess is sort of interesting to happen, I don't know if you've seen. Did you see Anthony Lionheart Smith, old friend of ours, got his house broken into by some sort of fucking drug addict?
So, did you watch the ring cam from one of the neighbors?
Yeah, that was fucking scary.
Dude.
That's why I got a fucking 150-pound Rottweiler, son. He starts that screaming shit at me, I'm letting Mordecai bite the dog shit out of him. That
was pretty because that's what. So I work with some investors, and we're working on a house, working with a contractor, and we're not quite sure what happened. The contractor is one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. He's been, for the most part, very reliable, and there's been some issues along the way, but that's just nature of the beast. When you're doing these kind of projects, you're gonna deal with a little bit of timelines getting pushed around and stuff getting quoted wrong and all that and whatever. So this guy just up and disappeared. No one has talked to him. His workers don't know where he is. He owes the workers money. Basically stole a bunch of my investors' money in the process. Didn't finish the job. Left all of his tools. Won't answer phone. Won't answer Facebook. Nothing. The dude's gone. Just in the wind. And I believe he got on drugs. That's what I think happened. I think he had drug issues in the past, and I think he's back on them. And the thing about drugs, as someone who is a former addict too, like when you are on drugs, and I know this is pretty benign and cliched, but I can't stress this enough. Like, you are a different fucking person.
Oh, for sure.
You could take me and the drug addict version of me, and the drug addict version of me is a piece of shit. I'll steal from your mama. I'll steal from my mama. I'll steal from stores. I'll rob people in a parking lot. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like that. That's the version of me that is on dope. You know what I mean? And like that guy, he's inhuman almost. Like when you watch that video, he lets out a just guttural scream. It wasn't even like it was coming from a person. I mean, It was just, and that's fucking terrifying because that guy gets in through the front door. You ever seen someone on PCP where they're tasering him 20 fucking times and he ain't going down? It's fucking terrifying, dude. Like, yeah,
that's what I was going to say is that I seen, and Anthony was talking about this. He was saying, like, I was fighting the guy and I was fucking giving him hell, kneeing him and elbowing him and punching him and kicking. And listen, I like to give Anthony Smith shit, and we like to have some fun and poke fun on this show, but in the grand scheme of things, make no mistake about it, I'm under no illusions that Anthony Smith's not one of the toughest guys walking this fucking planet. That fucking man grabs a hold of you and starts fucking kneeing you and kicking you and punching you, it's going to fuck you up. And he was saying that he had, like, the dude kept coming. He wouldn't stop. Like, so, and I seen, you see people on Twitter like, well, why didn't he just choke him out? Again, maybe you've never been around somebody fucking high on PCP and shit, but you might not want your hands or arms around their face. This isn't a jiu-jitsu tournament. That dude will bite your thumb off.
Seriously, legitimately, like, dude will bite through your fucking bone. Like,
right. It's like it's almost not safe to sort of, if you miss with the choke and your arm gets anywhere near his mouth, he might fucking bite the fuck out of you. Then you got to worry about catching whatever this nasty little disease fruit bat's got.
Dude, that's the thing about rules. Like, I think people forget. That there are rules that normal society lives by, and then there are people that are outside that rule structure. So, again, you take a drug addict, and again, like you said, you put your arms around their neck, they're not tapping out. They're pissing on you. They're shitting on you. They're trying to bite you.
In the eyeball.
Yeah, they're fucking digging their goddamn index finger into the back of your eyeball and trying to stab your brain out. I mean, that's, like, for real. Like with this contractor, he owes this guy's money. Listen, you steal $10,000 from me, I'm just going to take you to court. That's as far as it's going to go. I'm going to try to hunt you down. I'm going to knock on your door, and I'm going to be like, hey, dude, what's up?
Where's my money?
Yeah, where's my money at? But ultimately, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to slash your tires. I'm not going to beat your ass. I'm not going to send someone after you. I'm going to take you to court. That's how I'm going to handle it. And that's over, say, $10,000. Okay? You fucking jip a West Dayton contractor $500, they'll put a fucking bullet in your head. This shit isn't a joke. And and I'm trying to reach out to him going, dude, I can help you. You owe some people some money. I don't know what's going on. I like you. If you talk to me and we have a conversation, I might be able to help you out. I might be able to pay your guys off so that way they're not trying to fucking kill you. And we can work something out. But if you don't talk to me, I can't help you. But legitimately, I'm talking to some of the guys he worked with, and I don't even know all their names. I don't want to know all their names, to be honest with you. But one of them insinuated basically just that. Listen, I'll give him some time, but eventually I'm going to get impatient, And dude, $1,000 to me is not $1,000 to a fucking West Dayton contractor. It's that might as well be $1 million. It's not even like they're poor necessarily. They're contractors. They get some money in, but you chip someone $1,000 with that kind of mindset, and they will they don't care if you have kids or not. They'll put a fucking bullet between your eyeballs, and they won't think twice about it.
Yeah, for sure.
There are people that exist outside the rule structure, so don't get it twisted. With someone like Anthony Smith, not be able to choke someone like that out. Don't get it twisted. They are not existing on the same plane.
Right, for sure. And real talk, dog. I'm a super liberal dude. I know you are too. We're real left leaning or whatever. But shout out to fucking Keith and all the other police out there. Because let me tell you something. For all you motherfuckers out there that bitch about the cops and the bad cops and this and that, when one of those fucking pricks gets through your door, if you're not Anthony Smith or you ain't got a fucking CCW or a big-ass bear beast dog or something, you're fucking terrified because you're goddamn right. A normal little shitbird, and you can handle something like that. But if one of these fucking creeps all whacked out on meth or PCP sneaks through your window, you fucking want to call the police, and you're going to be fucking kissing your lucky stars when they show up and fucking save your ass, man.
Man, I saw a video the other day, and a guy had snatched a 10-year-old and went up to a hotel. And when you don't see anything, they block out the girl, obviously. And the only thing you see that's really disheartening is there's some blood. There's some blood on the bed and on some sheets. And they go up, they start beating on the door. You hear the guy go, I'm trying to get dressed, hold on. Jesus. And it's clearly the police. You know what I mean? He's like, hold up, guys, I'm trying to get dressed. So they finally beat the fucking door in. They get the guy out. The guy's butt naked. They go in there. They grab the girl. She's bleeding. One of the officers references that.
Oh, yeah.
And you're listening to everything that's happening. You can hear the cops with the guy. You can hear them. Nobody says anything to the guy. They don't say, I ought to fucking kill you. They don't say, anything. They don't do anything. They just get the fucking guy out. They get the girl out. They take her downstairs. The dad is on the other side of the parking lot. Dad kind of rushes over, and that's it. The ability to go into that situation and handle it that way is something that most humans would not possess. Most people would not be able to do that, and to not. You see it in movies. Did you ever watch True Detective, the first season of True Detective?
Oh, yeah.
So once when
amazing.
When Woody Harrelson's character goes into the back of the truck, you don't see what he sees. We assume it's a bunch of dead children is what we assume.
Right.
And he walks out, and the guy's handcuffed on his knees, and he just walks out and blows his head off.
Right.
And Russ is like, what the fuck? And it's hard to imagine in that situation, not doing that. How do you keep yourself from at least taking the guy, grabbing him by his fucking throat, and being screaming in his face? I can't even imagine that. Dude, they were just standing there with him. The guy was standing there. They were standing with him arrested as they were kind of waiting to clear people out so they could get downstairs. I mean, it was just incredible.
Fucking
an
hero.
Incredible response. So, yeah, shouts to the police, my friend. Shouts.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's very uncommon. It's not, it doesn't happen often, but these fucking sort of people who sneak through your window, these people exist. These sort of drug addicts are a real thing, man. And at that point, you bet your sweet ass you fucking want the police around then. Most of you fucking do.
And you don't. And we've obviously devolved into a random conversation. We'll get out of here right now. But there's nothing else to talk about, so might as well talk about this. When you see the videos on your Ring doorbell or on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, where the guy starts trying to break in the front door and someone goes, "Hey," and shouts into the Ring and the guy runs.
Right.
That happens most of the time.
Right.
However, there are fucking people in this world that when you shout, "Hey," through that Ring doorbell, they go, "Oh, awesome. Someone's in there." You know, like it isn't like, "Oh no, someone's in there." It's, "Oh yeah, someone's in there." Like now they're just going to throw a rock through the window so they can get it all the way in. You know what I mean? They're going to try to be stealthy about it, but now they don't have to. Now they know you're in there, so fuck it. Like, we're making as much noise as humanly possible, and we're getting in the door. So it's crazy, man. There are really scary. I'm glad Anthony Smith is okay. Obviously, that could have gone very poorly. Say if the guy had a weapon of some sort. Fortunately, most people that are high on drugs don't think to go get a knife or a gun before they start doing what they're doing. They're just out of their goddamn minds, and they're just doing whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely appreciate that. And kudos to Anthony Smith for handling that situation. That shit would happen to me, I'd probably be dead. I wouldn't have been able to fend it off.
It is scary, man. It really is scary. What the fuck? That really is why I've got a big dog. I really think that having a big dog, a guard dog that you've raised from a puppy is a fucking smart thing to have, man. First line of defense, because you never know. It's something that we hope never happens and is unlikely. But boy, in today's age, what the fuck with all this shit happening that's unlikely, you want to be prepared for something like that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Shouts out to Anthony Smith, man. I'm glad that he came out of it good. He was able to subdue the guy and nothing crazy happened. He didn't get hurt. The fucking goofy ass guy didn't get hurt too terribly. So it all went well. But just goes to show you, man, this shit is real. And I don't want to say that happened just particularly because of this corona crisis. But that's the sort of thing that could happen if it gets too bad. So not to be that fucking goofy PSA, but stay at fucking home, you pricks.
Right. All right, we're going to get out of here, guys. Fred, always appreciated. Where can we find you?
Listen, fucking Kirby_MMA, Kirby with a K_MMA on Twitter. That's where all the action happens, baby. That's where all the action happens.
You can follow the podcast at LoudMouth MMA. That's on Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to a podcast, we should be there. So definitely please go check us out. And loving it. And we'll see you guys next week.
There it is.